has boundless potential to improve most aspects of our lives, our daily lives, and help us solve big global challenges. At the same time, widespread adoption can create unforeseen problems of its own. And beyond a certain point, countries must collaborate on technology, not just to improve it or to scale it, but to do so safely. We're well past the point where technology respects territorial, let alone terrestrial, borders. Here on Earth, there's a huge amount of tech collaboration already happening between British and Indian companies and universities to produce new vaccines, to improve airplane engine maintenance, to develop AI to process health insurance claims. The list is very long, and to capture them better, today we'll unveil our Technology Futures Insight report, which gathers these examples together in one place. Now, you'll forget 95% of what I say today. It's not you, it's just how our brains work. But if you remember one thing, I hope it is that at the UKIBC, we feel so strongly that this is the foundation of the bilateral relationship, that we've made it part of our mission statement, which is to boost trade, investment, and technology collaboration between our two countries. I realize that not everyone here is familiar with UKIBC. We're a knowledge-based nonprofit with a fantastically powerful network between both countries. Our members contribute about £600 billion to the world economy. We employ about 3.5 million people worldwide. And in the last 17 years, we've helped about 800 companies with their market journeys between the UK and India. This week, we heard the good news that the FTA negotiations are to resume. And assuming the FTA is concluded, we look forward to supporting many more companies to succeed in each other's markets. Just as we believe that the FTA is the start, not the conclusion of something, so we believe that there is much, much more that the UK and India can do together to co-design, to co-create, to co-develop technology together. The UK has much to learn from India. Just take India Stack as an example. Equally, the UK has solutions, IP, and R&D capabilities which can help India achieve Viksit Bharat by 2047. We have to lean into this because I think how India responds to and regulates the challenges and opportunities of things like quantum and AI and semiconductors will define how the world responds to it. Which is why we welcome the announcement in July this year of the Technology Security Initiative, a framework through which both countries can collaborate on the technologies of the future. Today is about sharing and learning from good examples of UK-India technology collaboration and to discuss how to do more of it. To help us, we have some brilliant speakers. In a moment, I'll invite Lindy Cameron, the British High Commissioner, to give her opening address. We then have sequential panels. Mr. Ajay Kumar Soni, the former Secretary at METI, will draw on his years of technology policy expertise, alongside Vrinder Kapoor, who's the CEO at Sri RDI Tech, a trailblazing deep tech startup specializing in advanced sensors for defense and space applications, alongside Priya Guha, MBE, venture partner at Merian Ventures. This will be followed by Kunal Purohit, President of Next Gen Services Line at Tech Mahindra, a team which brings together cloud and data and cybersecurity and emerging technology, alongside Hari Ganeshan, who's the VP at Rolls-Royce's Data Lab in Bangalore. We will then break for a drink, for cocktails, and around 6:30 p.m., we'll be joined by the Commerce Minister, Piyush Goyal, to hear some first-hand insights from the Government of India. He's bringing with him a considerable media presence tonight, so I'm looking forward to some interesting or important remarks from him. Before we start, thank you to our sponsors, the Connected Cities Catapult, which is working to bring British green tech companies to India, to Ethos, a cutting-edge IT solutions provider, to Trilegal, which is helping establish a robust legal framework for tech innovation in India, to Rolls-Royce, one of the best examples of a British company making in India that I know, and Vodafone Idea, which is demonstrating phenomenal success in driving financial inclusion through technology. Finally, I'm blessed with having a very wonderful team, as wonderful a team as any CEO could want to work alongside, and I want to thank them for their incredible work on this event today. So Kevin, Yashodhara, Kadambari, Ashta, Nishta, Sita, and others, thank you very much. Would you now please join me in welcoming Lindy Cameron, the British High Commissioner.
So it's fantastic to be here at the second UK-India Technology Futures Conference. I think a platform that really reflects the kind of growing partnership and the growing depth of partnership that we have. One that's built, I think, on a shared vision of mutual growth, security and well-being. And no more so now than as we see both a re-elected Indian government and, of course, a newly elected British government in the UK, with our Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, having arrived in India only less than 3 weeks after the election to make clear how important the partnership between the UK and India was going to be to that new Labour government. Part of that, of course, was launching the TSI, about which I'll say more shortly, but a much bigger part of that was actually the context of really saying how important the relationship between the UK and India was going to be, and how aspirational his vision was for taking what is already a great comprehensive strategic partnership to an even greater level. And I think that's the context we're in now, is looking back and thinking about what has worked so far, but actually thinking about how is we can take the UK-India relationship to even higher levels for the mutual benefit of both of our economies and both of our peoples. Because I think these are governments that share a real focus on growth, and also a real focus on climate change as well, actually, 2 of the 5 missions for the new Labour government, that give us a real shared sense of purpose with a long-term vision for the future. We have a government in the UK elected with a big majority now, and therefore going to be in power for at least 5 years, along with a government that has a renewed mandate here in India, with a real aspiration to make it to Viksit Bharat in 2047, the long-term vision for developed India. And we want to be on that pathway with India to a developed India, thinking about what that will mean. And as somebody who spent most of my career working in development, I have to say that the concept of growing an economy from the level it's at now to developed income status basically in 23 years is quite an extraordinary journey, and one that should be incredibly exciting for every business in this room, because it will mean change in every year, change in every decade, at a scale we haven't seen. Somebody always quotes to me the statistic that 90% of developed India has not yet been built. And I think there are markets that don't yet exist, sectors that haven't yet grown. This is possibly the most exciting time to be in India now, and one of the most exciting times for the partnership. So I wanted to say a huge thanks to the UK-India Business Council for all the work that's gone into this amazing conference. Thank you to you and your team. And indeed the parallel sessions. I know there have just been 3 fantastic sessions, all of which had members of the High Commission in there, really brainstorming through ideas and sort of understanding what you're all thinking. Really fantastic to have this mix of business leaders, policymakers, and innovators from across the technology ecosystem. We've got a long-standing relationship with UK IBC, and I know that that's going to continue. It's fantastic to have their ideas, their vision, but also their challenge. And please continue with that constructive challenge to help us work out how we can take this relationship to an even better place, how all of you as partners in the room can help us to do that. Because it is a really exciting time to be here, I have to say. And I think as somebody who came to this job, people always ask me which post I came from, and I have to explain I didn't come from a post per se as a country. I came from a sector in cybersecurity. So my previous role was as the CEO of the National Cybersecurity Centre in the UK. So I come with a really acute understanding of quite how critical technology will be to the future relationship, and actually quite how critical it is to both our future growth, but also to our future security. Both India and the UK are innovation-led nations, brimming with opportunities. I think the 2024 Global Innovation Index describes India as an innovation overperformer, punching above its weight relative to its level of development, whereas we in the UK are an efficiency champion, delivering higher innovation outputs with relatively less investment compared to other tech powerhouses. And I'm struck by how important it is for our relationship also that we keep on focusing on the future and keep on focusing on where we're going. It's easy occasionally in this relationship to get tangled up in the complex web of history, but it's incredibly important that we see each other for the nations that we are now, and more importantly, see each other for the nations that we will become in the future. And I say that not just in the sense of Viksit Bharat and developed India, but also in the sense of, again, the UK government's drive for a stable, high-growth economy in which innovation is really rewarded. So it's no wonder that the UK-India tech partnership is both a sort of force for good and a force for growth. From green technology and resilient infrastructure to exceptional healthcare and a safe and connected citizenry, this partnership is really powering that aspiration. I know some of you heard earlier today from Christina, my deputy, about the UK-India Technology Security Initiative. So this was a bold new approach launched by our Foreign Secretary during his visit here, along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Foreign Minister Jaishankar, on how we work together on the defining technology of the decade, 7 key sectors in which we have a high ambition to work together for mutual security benefit and indeed for mutual growth. That was only 4 months ago. I have to say it's absolutely whizzed by, but that is already proving, I think, how closely we can collaborate. You already know how amazingly good India's approach to its United Payments Interface is, responsible for 46% of all global instant payments. And we have together then put a £7 million research investment into 6G telecoms, signing memorandums of understanding recently between Bharat 6G Alliance, the UK Future Networks Initiative, and the UK Telecommunications Innovation Network to create a telecoms network that will strengthen UPI further. And that's the kind of example of where it is we want to build on each other's strengths. Some of the fantastic research and innovation done in the UK, the amazing thinking that went into, for example, our groundbreaking Telecom Security Act, along with India's amazing ability to take to scale how you deliver that. Another example would be the British company ARM, who produce semiconductors and software products, powering most of the smartphones and tablets in India. Vodafone Idea, a joint venture between UK's Vodafone and India's Idea Cellular. That's the 3rd largest mobile telecommunications network in this amazingly huge country. In short, we're connecting merchants from Kashmir with customers from Kanyakumari and everybody in between. But we're also trying to do it in some of these new sectors as well. The UK-India Centre for Responsible and Trustworthy AI is bringing together some of the brightest minds from our countries to harness AI for health, for climate, for agriculture, for finance. And we're not just limiting ourselves to tier 1 cities like Delhi or Bangalore. We're also setting up an AI integrated climate modelling centre in the Northeastern Hill University in Shillong, which I'm hoping to go and see in a few weeks' time, which will provide data-driven insights powered by AI for better climate policy and better resilience planning, something that's really fundamentally needed in a country that will be deeply, deeply vulnerable to the challenges of climate change, as well as at the cutting edge of trying to address it. Through its Bio-E3 policy, India has identified biotechnology as a prime enabler of sustainability, energy security, and growth. And we're really proud to be delivering on that as well. Our joint roundtable on biomanufacturing has set the foundation for harnessing microbes, cells, and enzymes to create cutting-edge medical treatments and new food sources. We've got an upcoming partnership in femtech to deliver innovations by women for women's health, and a partnership in bioprinting, including printing organs, to help us manufacture organs for life-saving surgeries. So really, truly, absolutely world-class innovation, something that I think brings the best out of the UK and indeed turbocharges the best of India. And that is just the TSI. That's literally just the TSI alone, and I think we haven't even come close to the full potential of what we can do in those 7 sectors yet. Together, more widely, we've already uplifted health outcomes for our citizens and people all over the world, whether that was through Covishield, the vaccine that paved the way through the pandemic, now focusing on the R21 malaria vaccine. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we've done together on that. And the UK-India Health Tech Bootcamp is identifying promising Indian health tech initiatives and innovations and is supporting their commercial aspiration to scale up to deliver for India and the world, whether that's on mental health, the development of cheaper drugs, the diagnostics for kidney and heart diseases through portable devices, a whole range of hardware and software for health. You have UK companies addressing the unique healthcare needs of Indian citizens. Spirit Digital Clinitouch platform, transforming patient monitoring in India, partnering with MediHealth in Mohali, Jeevasari Healthcare in Bangalore, and Helkin in Mumbai. Forecast revenue of £55 million over the next 5 years. It's prioritising patient care based on health risk. It's the kind of thing that, to be frank, if you scale it here, we would like to see more of in the NHS as well. You've got RELX's digital innovations and interventions for sustainable health tech action, empowering India's ASHA workers, partnering with state governments, onboarding over 900,000 accredited social health activists, equipping these frontline health tech workers with advanced tools to deliver essential screenings directly to underserved rural populations. And beyond health, we're working on climate as well. We're working shoulder to shoulder on energy security and green technology. The UK and India's Green Growth Equity Fund has allocated over £580 million to Indian green projects like solar and sustainable transport. We've got joint research projects targeting areas like battery storage, energy efficiency, and waste to energy. And just last week, we announced the winner of the Tata Steel Sprint, part of the UK-India Net Zero Innovation Centre, accelerating our transition to net zero. You've got Chennai-based Carbine Energy Technologies Innovation, helping to create a commercially viable system to deliver low-cost green hydrogen to industries in both countries, helping both of us meet our ambitious net zero targets. And last but not least, you've got the partnership between the UK's Global AMR Innovation Fund and the UK's Centre for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, combating the twin threat of antimicrobial resistance, which has claimed 1.27 million lives annually, globally, and environmental degradation. Their partnership offers just over £5 million in funding over the next 3 years to support 15 innovations for tackling AMR in the environment. And the results of all of this are already in. In the Britain Meets India 2024 report, produced by Grant Thornton Barrett and the Confederation of Indian Industry, you can see that British businesses are driving growth and sustainability in India. 667 UK-owned companies generating 5 trillion rupees in revenue and employing over 500,000 people. But there's still a lot more to be done. I could list, but I won't, don't worry, endless examples of where we're working together. But I think the real key is looking to the future. As Prime Minister Modi said, Viksit Bharat is only possible through everybody participating, Sabka Saath, and everyone's endeavour, Sabka Prayas. So we need everybody to look for opportunities and share the same bold ambition to shape the future. Whether you're a tech CEO from Silicon Roundabout to the coder in their garage in Hyderabad creating tech that we don't even know exists yet. From the bureaucrat dodging raindrops in South Block to the PhD student dropping atoms onto a semiconductor in Newport in Wales. It's a really collective endeavour, and it's a really exciting moment, I think, to be here and look at that future possibility. The UK-India partnership, led by 2 governments that have a real eye for the future and a real mandate for stability, is about building an ecosystem that benefits both of our societies, modern India and modern Britain. By aligning our goals, by pooling our expertise, and by leveraging our complementary strengths, we're fostering an environment where innovation can thrive. We're fostering an environment where resilience is strengthened and where both our nations are coming closer to meeting the ambitious goals we've set ourselves. So thank you for having me here today.
To start with Mr. Soni. As I said, DPI is the envy of the world. You tell us a little bit about how India got to this fantastic place, please.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, the journey of digital public infrastructure started quite some time back, but the first notable thing that's noticed by almost everyone is Aadhaar, the identity platform. And this one, it was preceded by another project that we had done in the state of Andhra Pradesh about 10 years before that. And we used the learnings from that while designing and implementing Aadhaar. Aadhaar has basically covered almost the entire population. It's not for the eligibility for that is not being a citizen. It's for every resident in India. So it's more a digital identity than a physical card that you need to carry. And it's sort of enabled a number of things, especially with linkage to the bank accounts. It has enabled direct benefit transfer. That has helped sort of make sure that every single rupee that needs to go to people even in the rural area reaches them directly and immediately. So that I think has been a major success. It happened alongside financial inclusion, where the Government of India tried to ensure that everyone, every family, every adult has a bank account. So these two happened hand in hand. And simultaneously, the growth of mobiles also happened. The second one that has caught attention as a digital public infrastructure is the Unified Payments Interface, UPI. So this one has enabled simple, and in fact it's used to be very low cost. Then the Government of India stepped in and said it will be no cost. So the no cost to the recipient, to the merchants who receive that payment, and to the people who send any kinds of payments, whether it's a person-to-person payment or person-to-merchant kind of a payment. So UPI enables a very large number of payment transactions. It's grown significantly, even over it's now been in existence for about 8 years now. And even in the 8th year, it has grown by 59% over what it used to be, in the 7th year, end of 7th year. So it's that kind of a growth, and it's continuing to grow that way. Almost everyone uses this system, and they almost all the vendors, whether it's established shops or it is vendors on the street, I think almost all of them have a QR code, and you're able to make the payments nicely. So it's actually been able to, the penetration of cards has been limited, the credit cards, even the debit cards. And this has helped provide a very different and a very convenient way of transacting, making payments, transacting business. And it also creates a kind of a digital trail. So it's leading to more and more digitization in the economy, more and more formalization in the economy. So coming alongside GST, implementation of the goods and services tax, it's sort of unified the entire landscape in India in financial and in business terms. Apart from this, a number of other less known initiatives have also taken shape. Umang is an app, which is an app of apps. So all kinds of services, whether these are from the central government or the state governments, are available through Umang to any citizen. Another similar effort was to set up a DigiLocker, where instead of having to send your documents, the publishers of various kinds of documents, the schools certificates, the university certificates, any other documents which we typically use again and again, those can be accessed through DigiLocker, and through DigiLocker these can be shared with any entity with whom you might wish to share those. So that again has been a significant DPI. One DPI that is taking shape and might have an impact almost, of the magnitude of Aadhaar and UPI is the Ayushman Bharat digital mission. This is in the area of health. It tries to unify the entire ecosystem in healthcare with a registry for all the doctors, all the health professionals, a registry for all the health institutions, hospitals, clinics, etc., diagnostic centers, and an account, it's called an Abha account. It's an account for every citizen, where you could upload or link your health-related reports. These remain under the control of that person. It's under no one else's control. And the citizen would be able to share his or her diagnostic reports, etc., with the treating physician or dentist or whoever. And this again hopefully will end up unifying the entire healthcare system in the country and making available exceptionally competitive offerings to the citizens. So discovering what kind of services are available and how competitive are those, how accomplished are the providers. I think all of that might happen, and again the magic that has happened in digital payments, I hope that we will see something very close to that in the area of healthcare. So these are something. Another one that has taken shape more recently is Bhashini. It's the language platform. So again, this one, India has a large number of major languages and minor languages and dialects. So this is a platform that enables research entities, companies, individuals to sort of participate in one common ecosystem, so that all of the interoperability happens, and translation, real-time translation, whether it is of voice or text or anything, all kinds of language tools become available. So this is a huge thing that has taken shape, and it might again, the vision for that is that even an illiterate grandmother knowing only Malayalam, for instance, should be able to have a real-time conversation with a semi-literate counterpart in Kerala or in some other state. So that is the kind of a vision that this platform has, and it again removes the barriers. So as a nation, 1.4 billion people. So if you remove barriers one by one, it ends up creating a huge unified ecosystem.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's remarkable transformation and disruption. And you've rightly, I think, focused on the way it's improving lives of citizens. Would you be able to say a little bit about how the private sector has responded to this? It seems that the government have created this enabling environment, sort of changed the way government services are delivered in India, created a digital platform. How have you seen businesses respond to that, and what more would you like to see from businesses in the future?
Yeah, the primary thing about the digital public infrastructure is that the core or the enabling platform is created by the Government of India, either directly or through a special purpose organization like the NPCI for UPI. But the players are all the players in that ecosystem, whether it is public sector, whether it is government as a service provider, or private companies, private entities are equally welcome, and in fact they make it flourish. So it's competition, it's open kind of a platform. We keep the entry barriers extremely low. So in the design of each of these platforms, we work hard, especially to keep the entry barriers very low. So there are either regulatory sandbox or developmental test beds that come associated with each of these platforms, where startups or established companies or researchers can actually test out their technologies against sort of in a lab environment or with APIs that are available from that particular platform. And this helps them get to a level of formal certification and becoming a formal part of the ecosystem. So that when they actually come in, they are compliant with all the requirements to be a disciplined sort of player in the ecosystem.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Vrinda, I want to come to you now. Can you firstly say a little bit about Third Eye Tech for those that aren't familiar? And then it's been a remarkable sort of success in a short period of time. How has that been possible, despite, other than your brilliance, how has that been possible?
So I think I get too much credit for Third Eye Tech's success, and I say this very openly. I believe that Third Eye Tech is a window into a changing India. So really, all of the companies that the government of India's policies help stand up are a view into the ambitions that India has going forward, into a lot of the vision that we're seeing coming out of the political leadership, but also the execution of the bureaucracy. And to that, I would have to say three things. The first is, one of our most well-respected industrialists, I was hearing him speak last week, and he said the hallmark of the Narendra Modi administration has been political continuity, not just their own, but in building on good work that was done by previous administrations, and Aadhaar was one of those examples. So by the end of this term, we'll have political continuity in the right direction for 25 years, something that I think in a very fragmented world is something that I think India brings as a very, very strong stabilizing force to the entire world. The second is this emphasis on huge ecosystem development, right? Whether it's DPI or Aadhaar, whether it's fostering international partnerships like the security initiative that we're talking about with the UK or ISET with the US. I think this idea that growth and stability is inclusive, the hallmark or sort of the slogan of India's G20 leadership last year, right, was that the entire world is connected and moving forward together. Taking that view again in such a polarized world is another really good thing. Or it has been another one of those really big drivers. And the third is this view that the new age economy is a partner in the nation's growth, right? That has been the third, I think, defining moment for India. The former secretary was speaking about, I think we're scratching the surface of what these policies or these ideas that were visualized a decade ago that are currently in the process of implementation. I think we're seeing the surface of what we're just about scratching the surface of those outcomes. 10 years later, it will be a very different India, and there will be a leapfrog that we can't even imagine today.
So what will we see in 10 years' time?
The interesting part is there is a part of the government right now that is working to define that, right? As ungovernment as that sounds, there is a group within the government of India that is working to define what does education look like a decade from now, what does trade look like, what does technology look like, what policy looks like. And everybody from the private sector who have been meaningful contributors to the last 10 years have been asked in to come in and contribute. So our company, Third Eye Tech in particular, was born out of one of these schemes out of the government of India, particularly within the Ministry of Defense, something that the Prime Minister championed personally. He brought the first 10 companies to the table, and then the next 30 and the next 40. And you'll be amazed at the fact that whenever Prime Minister Modi comes down to a defense expo or an Aero India, he does meet the rest of his counterparts, but he spends at least half a day with the startup ecosystem. And that is what has changed the way we are able to operate. So Third Eye Tech was born out of one of the Ministry of Defense's programs. We were introduced to our counterparts in the US government by the government of India. Again, something completely different from India's, from where we were about 15, 20 years ago. And then we were given every level of support from every department of the government of India. So we started to work on, semiconductors for national security, an area which is a dwindling talent pool in the West. We're starting to see those marks, an area where our common adversaries have huge amount of resources deployed, and an area where India has a very, very massive outsourced role to play as the talent provider of the world, right? So there, I think, going forward, the types of partnerships we're able to create, multilateral initiatives, working together to preserve the status that we have in the world would be, I think, a place where India can play an important role.
Thank you. After Priya speaks, I'm going to invite questions from the floor until Yashodhra starts waving at me to stop. But Priya, Vrinda's talked about India's technology and its talent pool. The UK's got deep pools of knowledge and talent as well. Do you want to give a perspective on that and how it can link to India?
So I think when you use the word ecosystem, Vrinda, and I think when you look at a tech ecosystem, there's so many different elements that go together to create that magic. And obviously, talent and skills is a big part of that, but it's also things like academic excellence. You've also got procurement, both from a corporate procurement, but also government procurement. You've then got investment. So lots of different elements, but absolutely talent is fundamental. And I think what you have in the UK is both a strong homegrown domestic talent, particularly that of sort of academic talent that then spinning out, commercializing ideas. You yourselves, I think, did a report on that just a few weeks ago at the UK IBC, talking about that sort of academic strength and the academic partnerships that come out of the relationship. But actually what you need to do is exactly what you were talking about there, Vrinda, which is what tech is coming through in the future and how do you build up the skills base to think about that. And there are some really exciting areas where I think we can do that together. And quantum would be a great example of that. We have fantastic academic skills in quantum in the UK and indeed in India as well. But what we have less of on both sides is actually the commercialization skills of where we want to apply quantum in a real-world environment, and how can we potentially collaborate to develop those skills and support people in forming those business relationships. And it's great that that's actually part of the Tech and Security Initiative that the High Commissioner was referring to earlier. But I think the other thing that's really great about the UK talent environment is that the UK is a magnet for talent from all over the world. So you have that ability to not only build off that domestic pool, but also look to talent from Europe, from America, from all over Asia, from Africa, from all parts of the world, and therefore build a business from the UK that's global. Because actually, we all know, to your point, the world is a very small place. And actually, every business needs to be built with a global market in mind.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And it's a global market. There are sources of funding are also global. And you've got your experience of London, San Francisco, and India. How do you see investment flows into tech startups?
So, going back to that experience where I was the UK Consul General in San Francisco for 5 years, and in that role, obviously one of the things that was, starkly important to the tech ecosystem there is Sand Hill Road, so the street in Palo Alto where basically all of the venture capital is based. And that is such an important part of the ecosystem there, because that is the money that is sort of high risk, high reward money that is needed for technology businesses. The reality is a lot of the businesses that we may all be involved with in our lifetimes, not all will succeed. And so you need money to come alongside that is willing to take that risk, and take that risk with that possibility of that great sort of one gem of rewards that will come through with the technology that will be the sort of next unicorn, decacorn, or whatever is the next terminology for the next big thing. What I think is really interesting, though, in the UK-India relationship is that I think that is the area that we haven't yet really reaped all the possible benefits from in terms of investment flows. So we don't yet have many investors who are thinking about that sort of India-UK, UK-India corridor as one of the routes to find some really exciting new companies. And for me, that feels like a bit of a missed opportunity.
What's stopping that happening?
So I think there is an opportunity for people to showcase better how that corridor can have an instrumental role in a company's growth and success. There's a great example of this in one VC fund called Pontac, which some of you may have come across before. But they're actually now building, I think, their third fund, specifically looking at India-UK, UK-India, and both-way investments. So I don't think it's necessarily a structural piece. I mean, your fintech discussion earlier may have touched on some of the regulatory barriers to financial services collaboration in the broader sense. But actually with VC, I think it's really looking at showcasing the opportunities that are coming from that collaboration and making sure that they are getting the backing, whether that's with governmental support and guidance or frankly independently, to get the money they need to succeed and grow.
Thank you, Priya. There are incredible opportunities for UK companies to come to India, to participate in India's growth story, to benefit from the DPI that Mr. Soni and his colleagues have developed over the last decade plus, and to bring ideas with them, and then to work British companies and Indian companies together to be a force for global good, which I think is our sort of slogan for today's conference. May I request everyone in the room to thank our three brilliant panelists.
If I can start with you, please, Kunal. Can you just explain a little bit about Next Generation and Tata and Tech Mahindra, and also then how it actually impacts on society and how you engage?
Sure, absolutely. So what we are realizing is that a lot of new technology is getting democratized very fast, right? Because of availability of technology to people who can not just use to develop new solutions, but also entrepreneurs who can make a business out of it, and more importantly, people who can benefit from it to solve their problems. It could be everyday problems, it could be complex problems, and some of those we discussed in the previous panel discussion, right? So and therefore that's a significant shift that we have seen, whether it's new technology or the way we live in the society that we live in, compared to the last few centuries, where there have been some incremental shifts and things like that. The spike of adoption of new technology is significant. And therefore at TechM, we felt that we need to have a dedicated unit that not only does deep research and development in technology to help our customers understand what's coming in the next 3, 6, 9 months that can be benefited, but also create solutions which can help improve productivity, but also that at scale. So that's what Next Generation Services does. And we are a large enterprise, about $7 billion in revenue. We operate in 50 plus countries, enabling companies move from being digital only. And we saw that during COVID, a lot of enterprises became digital by going online, selling their products online, creating cloud-based scalable operating model. But now they're looking at becoming more productive in the way they spend. During COVID, there was a ton of funding available. Now, the questions being asked by boards is how has that money been spent in a productive manner, right? And therefore, what we believe is the enterprises are moving from being just digital to becoming cognitive. They're trying to use data to understand their target audience better, to understand market better, and therefore be able to improve the way they interact in this whole ecosystem. And that's where we kind of position Next Generation Services. One example is today, India is a burgeoning economy. Everyone's looking at, the large consumption pattern, the development and growth of different strata of people in the society here. And one way to engage with them better, provide them better access to products and services, is also to have technology at their fingertips. And we felt that if people could engage in their own language and could ask questions of companies, then they could kind of get their questions answered. So we created a large language model. TechM is the only SI to have created a language model for Hindi in India. Some of our other startups have done it, but from a SI category, we are the only SI to have done it, where for 37 dialects in Hindi, we created a language model. It's called Indus, Project Indus. You could, if you use a Hindi keyboard, you could kind of download it. And it's a language model that enables grassroots people to engage in 37 dialects of Hindi. It's a single shot model that allows financial services companies to create their use cases on top of it. So imagine, if I'm a farmer and I want to understand what will it take for me to take a loan on tractor, and I have some questions, I can ask that in Hindi, and the tractor leasing company could help me understand the details of the loan, the EMI, the implications of defaulting and stuff like that, right? So it enables faster access of insights and information to the folks who need it at the time they need it. And this is just one example of how we are trying to enable enterprises move away from just being digital, being out there for people to find, but also going closer to them, understanding their needs by using data and AI.
And do you find that there is ready acceptance for this sort of, from the user actually? There isn't a resistance?
There is, it's a very interesting thing. If you look at many of the technologies over the years, most of them were adopted first in the enterprise, then in the consumer. But we are seeing that a lot of these new tech is getting adopted first in the consumer side. So, our children are so used to, for example, ChatGPT and trying to figure out answers to questions. Enterprise, there are these change management issues. People always, feel there is security concern. You're throwing data into cloud. Will it come back with a virus? Is there a threat actor behind it? So there is always this big concern of, while there is a promise of a good outcome, is the outcome coming at an additional risk of, a cyber attack or a data security breach, or, for example, proprietary data getting into hands of people who should not have it. So therefore, the adoption of some of these requires careful consideration. What we call setting up the guardrails, the right guardrails, but at the same time not necessarily thwarting the adoption of it. So there are definitely significant use cases which enable significant business outcomes, right? And therefore, the right combination of guardrails, the right combination of setting policies. We have seen some of these early success of the European AI Act, for example, right? All of these enable the right, adoption. But sometimes it's easier to see the scale happening in consumer than in the enterprise world.
Thank you. Harry Aran, safety. I'm pleased to say that I landed fine after 8 hours in the air this morning. Your product, your use of AI technology helps not necessarily keep the planes in the air alone, but actually monitors it on an ongoing basis. Can you just explain how that works and what the impact is? Because it's absolutely mind-blowing.
Thank you, Richard. First of all, thanks for having me, UK IBC. And when we talk about Rolls-Royce Data Labs, I think we formed 2018 with the focus of how to leverage tech talent in India in working on quite a lot of Rolls-Royce, key objectives. One of such objectives is safety, right? So the three focus areas, safety, availability, and efficiency are the three major focus areas for us when we talk about digital technology application. Safety, we look at two levels. One is at the product level, the other one is at the people, whether it's a consumer or the people who build the product and all those things. So we've been leveraging data from flight, like the QAR, which is the black box that you all know. Try to understand what's happening in flight, right? And what a pilot doing in terms of how he or she flying the flight, and what we can learn from there and feed it back to the individual and say, can you look at your past performance of 6 months? And also that tool helps to give a prescription where you need to get trained a little more. But it's very, very, individual software that is only available for the user actually. What it does basically is that person gets a feedback based on the actual data happened in the last 6 months, and choose the training program and improve the flight for efficiency as well as the way that flight has been flown and landed and all those kind of things. So this is one thing that we are doing. And the second aspect is about the people, right? So this is an industry where we are using heavy equipments and things, right? And it is very important to understand whether our employees are safe, right? So we try to understand the data of various safety incidents happens across, TRI happens across our industry, our manufacturing facility and those things, and try to create a pattern what's happening, right? For example, we figured it out that all hand-related injuries happening predominantly at 8:30 in the morning in a particular plant. So this insights wouldn't be easily available if you don't leverage some of the AI data, AI technologies and other things, right? So these are the aspects that we are looking safety. The third angle of safety is sustainable future, right? So where, you know, we also have a responsibility of using AI sustainably as well as creating a sustainable environment, because our product is one of the highest pollutant, right? So we use data to understand like science-based technology initiatives, which helps to understand where we need to focus and what are the initiatives that we need to take, and helps to simulate whether that initiative is going to land in the right sustainable solution for the market actually. And the second angle is purpose-driven, you know, initiatives is very, very important. For example, you use a normal traditional web search against the LLM web search, you're using 10 times more energy to do the same thing, right? So the more and more LLM model that you're using, you're also creating a trouble somewhere else actually. So you're responsible to choose your technology wisely against a purpose, like Kunal was talking about, right? An inclusion purpose of, you know, building a language model to bring all the underdeserved people or underprivileged people right now to enjoy the technology, to get the best thing out of it actually. So we do think about how we choose our problem, how we choose our technology to leverage to solve the problem and everything. So these are the various safety elements we think about, you know, from product to people to the process, what we are putting in day-to-day use actually. Richard.
So you're effectively using data on behavior to drive behavior.
Exactly, yeah.
Can I just ask, Kunal, yourself, the data, and in fact both of you, operate in areas which are highly sensitive, and you alluded to the fact security on data, protection on data. Obviously, there's data legislation here in India, et cetera, et cetera. How difficult is that an environment in which to navigate and to operate through? I mean, it must be different between the two of you, but there must be similarities as well.
Yeah. I think it's a very pertinent question because it's at the center of this perfect storm of what could be the tipping point of using technology in, you know, every single aspect of our life. So I think we are seeing two sides of the spectrum. One side is where earlier data was used or seen as a ingredient in a certain aspect, right? It would go in with applications, it would go in with infrastructure and things like that. What we are now seeing is that if you consider data as a product and wrap around a security aspect with it, and you know, this is in technical terms called data product, you have a much higher maturity of making that core data asset secure, right? So the way data is treated today, from considering it a 0, 1, a bit, to looking it as a data product, goes one way in ensuring that the data at the source is accurate. And there was a gentleman who was asking question around accuracy of data and quality of data. And this allows for people who are generating data to also own the data in a way that they are responsible for it, right? So creating data products is step number one, which is this side of the equation where the data gets generated. The other side where it gets used, more and more enterprises are ensuring that they have the right protocols in place. So we are seeing emergence of what's called the sovereign solutions, right? Which is solutions which are built, or applications that are built with a nuance for that particular enterprise or for that nation. The moment you have that in place and that thinking in place, then you are structuring your policy, whether it is data, whether it is usage, whether it is applications on cloud, you're structuring all of that for that particular nation. And therefore, by design, you're incubating a lot of security aspects into it. So this side with sovereign aspects, nuance with security of by design, and on the other side where the data is getting produced, you kind of convert that into data products. So with the combination of these two, we are saying that enterprises can safely then use data and create products and solutions and services out of it, which can be consumed by applications, by industries, by people like us. That's what we are saying.
So similar, actually, I think Kunal touched about the data product, actually. So if I were to add few more points on top of it, data democratization is a very key thing in industries right now, right? Any AI technology, people get excited by looking at conferences, videos, news, and everything. But when they want to implement, one of the biggest challenges they're facing is the data. Access of the data, quality of the data, you name it, lineage, where it is coming from, who's going to have access, all those things need to be properly thought through. Data product is an amazing approach, bringing the data together and creating a product out of it. Through a data mesh organization, I wanted to highlight that because data is no more IT responsibility, in my opinion. It is a joint responsibility between the, the subject matter expert as well as the IT, right? So we create a kind of a mesh organization so that, jointly own the quality and lineage and data stewardship aspect of it. And also, it is properly tagged, properly certified, and properly labeled, so it know where it can go, where it cannot go, who can access, who cannot access. So those are the initiatives are getting focused right now, because I'm happy to see, like last 2 years, people started talking about data a lot than just a technology, actually, right? There is a focus change. Even in the last panel, people talked about the data, actually, right? So I think this is very important. At the same time, in a Rolls-Royce kind of company, we want to be making sure the safety of our product as well as the people using our product. So we are exposed to a lot of cyber threats, so we are very careful in terms of how we storing the data, how we're giving access to the data and everything. But once we organize the data, like through a mesh organization with a product approach, I think we'll have a good control in terms of democratizing the data to exploit the technologies available in the market. So that's the direction we are traveling towards here.
I would imagine that both you gentlemen are operating in an environment where you can't stand still. You've got to keep on evolving and thinking. And the previous panel talked about the Indian government thinking about what's life going to be like in 10 years' time, and then adopting a strategy to get there, if you like. I'm wondering, if I put a crystal ball in front of each of you, how do you address what the future is, and what opportunities do you see within your individual businesses as to where those opportunities are going to take us?
Sure. No, absolutely. That's a fine question. We at Tech Mahindra believe that once the organizations become cognitive, which means they have data at the center of all their business, by that time the world would be ripe enough to have the cost of compute and the cost of technology go down significantly, and the artificial intelligence mature enough so much that there'll be reasoning baked into the solutions, right? So AI would start to reason, and therefore if you look at what could lie 2, 3, 5 years from now, we believe that enterprises will move from being cognitive to being quantum centric. What essentially it means is the ability of enterprises to solve deep business problems using technology. An example is today we are still finding it difficult to break aspects of data, this whole molecule into significant amount of a breakdown of a molecular activity, which can then be done at an atomic level using quantum computing, right? So such complex problems where in such a busy city of Delhi should we put a electric vehicle charging station? Today, the applications and the compute and some of these are not able to resolve the challenges. It takes humongous amount of resources to solve such complex problems. And we believe that over the next 3 to 4 years, the cost of doing such processing of data, computing of equations will become so low that you could solve deep problems, right? And that would mean that companies will have AI as a native component of their enterprise. Today we have to infuse automation and AI into the work that we are doing. But enterprises will become more and more native AI. So that's at a technology level. What this will mean for businesses is that there will be a significant acceleration in the way they solve problems, and at the same time there will be hyper competition because it becomes a level playing field. So, I'll give you one example. 5 years back, technology services companies that had best developers who could write code create differentiation for themselves. You would go into the market and say, I have a 10x developer, he or she can write 100 lines of code every minute. With the technology today, you have, the co-pilots and generative AI-based pair programming, which gives you the productivity benefit through technology itself. So it's created a level playing field. You don't need to have the 10x developer anymore. If you are a small startup, you could use any of these technologies to create, write, and automate code, as good as anybody else in the world. So suddenly with this application, you are now able to use the modern technology to create your own differentiation. We have seen that small companies struggle to hire, big design agencies to run their campaign, right? Because it will cost them $1 million to launch a product in India, in one state in India. Now you can use some of these, generative AI techniques to create your own campaign. You create your own content, you create your own campaign, and you launch it. So the cost of running a marketing campaign has come down 80%. And imagine if you're a 5-7 people startup trying to be fast, trying to reach out to your target audience first, and you don't need, have the money to spend like a big company has. You can still do it today, right? So that's what we are seeing as emerging, and the ability of enterprises to quickly use some of these available techniques to launch off and to be, where they can solve complex problems.
Harry.
Yeah, I think Kunal covered quite a bit on the technology, where it is going, and everything is going to be democratized, data is going to be available once we get matured state, and again, computing power is going to get cheaper. What it means for the future talent, right? The future talent is going to look completely different, because digital is not going to be not looked at as a separate talent anymore, is my opinion. In future, when people, when alpha generation, which is the emerging generation right now, it's going to completely look different, actually, irrespective of which field you want to work in, whether you want an accountant or you want an engineer. So digital got to be part of your talent, actually, because it's going to be available for you to exploit it, actually. So there is a huge shift in talent and availability of talent and remote connectivity of talent, and you can buy talent. Quite a lot of advancement I can expect in the talent aspect too, which obviously help business not to worry about keeping the talent with you. You can buy and use them, and it's I feel the talent also will be democratized over a period of time as we go in the technology, right? So this is my view.
That's an interesting point you raised, but do you feel that, one of the fears about AI was that Industrial Revolution 4.0 and the number of people who are going to be employed, but are you saying that actually you're going to have a greater need for employing talent into the future, and therefore does that feed back into training and education that is necessary?
Yeah, I think I think it's going to be unavoidable, right? As you can see, Indian University started advertising their courses as AI-enabled courses, or now there's no computer science anymore. When I studied, there was a computer science. Now it's a computer science with AI, computer science with blockchain, computer science with cybersecurity. Now they are actually merging the talent. Mechanical engineering, quite a lot of electives is on the AI, right? And electromechanical things emerged long back. Now digital is getting part and parcel of physical, products, as well as the core engineering group. So it is coming up. And again, the other aspect is there are a lot of avenues available. I think in one of the session we discussed about the amount of education available at an affordable cost today is actually making the future talent, right? Is a go-to place for them to go and learn things. So yeah, education is very important, especially from how to exploit technology is going to be future. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. I think we should have called this session kind of window into the future, but a really absolutely fascinating discussion. Thank you very much indeed. So please show our appreciation.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the UK-India Business Council for arranging this event and for everything it does to strengthen the friendship between the UK and India. And I'm glad of the opportunity to celebrate our landmark UK-India Technology Security Initiative. I'm confident that with the drive and determination of the businesses, universities, innovators, and policymakers present today, we can start writing the next exciting chapter in the UK-India relationship. Together we can deliver growth, tackle climate change, and build a safer, more prosperous world for all of our people. As anyone who's visited knows, India is a remarkable country, the emerging superpower of the 21st century, and as we've seen with recent moves in semiconductors, a serious tech power too. Of course, we're already linked by a remarkable living bridge that connects our people across culture, education, science, business, and far more besides. Indeed, collaboration on science and research is one of the standalone parts of our relationship. Look at what we've been able to do this together on vaccines. The only 2 World Health Organization approved malaria vaccines, both the result of UK-India collaboration. And as they're rolled out in countries across Africa, they have the potential to save millions of lives. We've now committed to do more together on the emerging technologies that will define our shared future, from AI through telecoms and critical minerals, advanced materials, and other critical areas. Launched during the Foreign Secretary's visit to India in July of this year, just 3 weeks into the new government's term, the security initiative reflects the priority we're placing on tech as part of our ambitions for the UK-India partnership. The initiative broadens and deepens our relationship across government, industry and academia and sets out the concrete first steps we will all take together. It provides a framework for unlocking mutual innovation, growth and job creation. And it's a floor, not a ceiling, to our ambitions. It also makes clear the government's position on where we want business and academia to do more together. Success relies on UK and Indian businesses, academics, policymakers and innovators working closely together. And it's about people like you in this room today, building these relationships, sharing insights and finding new opportunities. And I so look forward to hearing the results of what I am sure will be some engaging and fruitful discussions.
Thank you, Richard, for giving me this opportunity to engage with friends from the United Kingdom so soon after both Prime Ministers met at the G20 and have made the joint announcement that we'll start seeing some action back on the free trade agreement negotiations. It's indeed a relationship that has stood the test of time over the years. It's a relationship where businesses, people government are all very much aligned, very much in tune with each other. We pretty much think alike, not only because we are trained by the Macaulay education system that you left behind, but also because we are two important democracies. We both believe in the rule of law. We both believe that there is a power that the rule of law brings to trade in terms of the confidence that one will not be discriminated against. There'll be fair trade between countries. There'll be equal opportunity. And end of the day, should anything go wrong, there's the backing of the law to give you justice. And I think it is this strength that in the years to come will further strengthen, as we just heard Her Excellency mention, the technology partnership between the UK and India. Of course, the India-UK Tech Security Initiative, with its focus on critical minerals, ultimately leading to artificial intelligence or increasingly getting data analytics into the way we work, or the setting up of data centers, or working with newer fields like biotechnology. All of these are emerging areas where there's huge potential. And I think we are well poised to work together because we don't really compete with each other. We complement each other, the UK and India, with your high cost of living, with your aging population, the relatively smaller number of technical manpower that is available in the UK today. I think it's important that other countries and the UK work together to leverage your high level of innovation or R&D that your universities or your R&D institutions are producing. And that's where India can play an important role, to partner with the UK in the emerging technologies of the future. And I'm very sure that given that India has the lowest cost data, our data costs, I believe, somewhere around 12 or 17 cents per GB, as against the US cost of about $7 per GB. I don't know the UK cost, but won't be very much different. Even the world average is about $3 per GB of data. And I think India, with its low cost, brings down the world average significantly, being the largest consumer of that data also. Given the high quality of talent that India produces every year, we have the highest number of STEM graduates coming out of college in India. High Commissioner will be happy to know 43% of them are women. And that pool of technical skill, coupled with the demands of an emerging market across the world, do provide an excellent opportunity for us to partner with each other. We are coming up with more and more legal frameworks which will protect data privacy, which will encourage free flow of data amongst trusted partners. And very obviously, the UK and India are two trading countries, technology countries, which in the years to come can really expand our Digital India mission and your imperatives to work with newer technologies. Together, we can do wonders. Incidentally, we launched Digital India way back in 2015. And today, we must be amongst the fastest growing telecom market. Our penetration with 4G is complete through the length and breadth of the country. 5G is seen the fastest rollout anywhere in the world. I think by end of next calendar year, all of India should be on 5G, and we have already started developing the 6G stack domestically. So we are well on path to providing the necessary ecosystem and infrastructure which will help us to engage with the developed world on technology, which in the years to come, I believe, seems to suggest that data will become the new oil, and energy would be finding the maximum usage in the churning or in the utilization of this data in the years to come. Of course, coupled with that, there's a significant interest in sustainability, and more people are looking at countries which can offer them, let's say, green infrastructure to house their data centers, or other initiatives where digital world and sustainability intersect and work hand in hand. Again, India offers the best infrastructure, I dare say, anywhere in the world for this mission of sustainable infrastructure for the digital world. I say that because I don't see many parts of the world which have an interconnected national grid the way India does. I remember in 2014, when Prime Minister Modi took office, we also had regional grids in the country. So power was available in North India at about 3 cents, and at the same time, power was available in South India at about 20 cents. That was the level of disparity. And because the grids were small and regional in nature, we had 2 serious concerns. One, the concern of grid stability or overload, which caused outages. And I remember when I became power minister in 2014, I was welcomed with a massive breakdown in the entire northern India grid. And one of our columnists in the newspaper wrote an op-ed saying that I've been baptized by outage. Mr. Modi invested significant amounts of public money and capital in creating an interconnected grid across the country, which I don't think even Europe has as of now. I don't think the United States has as of now. And I don't think the ASEAN bloc also enjoys. So if you look at the democratic world or the trusted geographies where you can look at engaging with your data without fear of it being stolen or misused, India is the only geography with the rule of law providing you cover, where we have a large interconnected grid across the country, where we have data flowing through the telecom networks across the country seamlessly, and our grid is massive. The grid size today is almost 500 gigawatt. 200 gigawatt of clean energy, renewable power, out of the 500. And our ambition and our plan by 2030 to grow our clean energy to 500 gigawatt lends me to believe that by 2030 we would have almost 1,000 gigawatt interconnected grid through the length and breadth of the country. For data centers, this huge amount of clean energy and the strength of a grid which handles 1,000 gigawatts, which you can tap into, provides an unheard of reliability and sustainability. And therefore, I think it's very appropriate that you are looking at the technology futures, the future of technology, what's going to happen in the years to come. And anybody who misses the bus or loses out on the opportunity to work with India, and I'm not saying this with any arrogance, Richard, I'm just stating a matter of fact. If you miss out on the India-UK partnership on technology, you do so at your own risk and cost. Friends, we've been working in India to develop not only a technology backbone, not only the infrastructure to encourage absorption of greater amounts of technology, but we are focusing on the space sector, something which brings both of us closer together on technology. We are working on animation, visual effects, gaming, comics and extended reality, which is another very high-tech area of the future. And given that more and more people are looking at entertainment as a very important element of quality of life, and many of these techniques actually fit into the world of artificial intelligence or augmented reality and all of that becoming very intrinsic to the way technology is being exploited in the future, I think India offers a great opportunity also in this field of AVGC and extended reality. Similarly, we are looking at semiconductor mission in a very big way. We have committed huge amounts of public funding and capital to encourage the semicon industry coming into India. And I do believe, as the Honorable Prime Minister said, and I quote, our dream is that every device in the world will have an Indian-made chip going forward. If I may summarize the areas of collaboration where UK and India can co-design or co-deploy technologies or solutions towards resilient supply chains, particularly in the critical technology areas, I have 5 suggestions to offer. 1, in artificial intelligence learning, we can create platforms to encourage more and more of next gen to engage with artificial intelligence. We can look at personalized training. We can look at universities adopting artificial intelligence as course curriculum. We can look at virtual reality becoming a part of the development of new age skills amongst our young men and women. Second, telemedicine can play an important role in bringing down costs of healthcare in the United Kingdom also, and can help us reach quality healthcare to the remotest parts of India. And as I mentioned to High Commissioner in our earlier engagements, any idea which is lopsided or which doesn't do a fair and equal benefit to both partners will never survive long. And therefore, we have a vested interest in telemedicine for reaching high-quality medicine facilities and at a lower cost, providing the infrastructure in remote parts of India. But similarly, we can help bring down your budgets. And I think, if you don't mind my saying so, you do have some stresses on your budget right now, as does every country in the world. Who doesn't? Therefore, e-health platforms and some of our startups are coming up with very good innovative ideas on what can be done for making healthcare more affordable and reaching the last man at the bottom of the pyramid. I'm told some of your medical needs have very long queue-ups and waiting times, particularly things like, clinical care and stuff like that, or old age care. Of course, a dentist job cannot be moved to a telemedicine platform. Number 3, we could look at climate modeling tools. Disasters are striking across the world given the fragile ecology that we are all living in. AI tools can help us in predicting climate patterns better, help us in preparing for disasters better, and optimize the mitigation strategies that all of us are very concerned about. We in India are taking disaster resilience and management of disasters very, very seriously. And there was a time when we would lose hundreds and thousands of lives with every cyclone or every earthquake that came in. We are able to now create an ecosystem where we plan in advance. We have created very good SOPs to manage disasters, and we stand on a very much safer ground where even the worst of cyclones doesn't leave behind a long trail of death or disaster or destruction. Number 4, being a very largely agrarian economy and agriculture being the bulwark of livelihood for a large section of Indian population. Precision farming tools or residue-free farming in controlled environment and similar such new technologies which can help agricultural productivity grow or go up without the use of GM. We don't encourage, rather we don't allow genetically modified technologies in India for the safety in the long run. But we can employ IoT devices, we can look at drones and sensor-driven equipment, we can look at monitoring of crops, we can look at soil testing, many areas in the agrarian world where technology can play a role in the future. And lastly, a number of organic chemicals, a number of engineering goods, a number of products related to food are going through a churn with newer technologies playing a role. And that could be another area where we could work together. Auto components for the electric vehicle ecosystem, for example, is one area that comes to mind immediately. So lots of work, but working together, we can get outstanding outcomes. As they say, you can work very hard and achieve some goals, but working together, you can achieve many, many more goals. That's what I would invite all our participants and the technology world of the UK and India to do. Let's work together, let's work smarter, and let's work faster.
Honourable Minister, that was wonderful. I think all of us today have been, I think impressed is probably an understatement, that the discussions and the infrastructure has really identified opportunities and collaborations. The Honourable Minister has kindly agreed to answer a few questions, and I'm pleased to put them. In the context of where we are at the moment, which is an exciting place, and as you said, our 2 Prime Ministers have agreed to start again to conclusion the Free Trade Agreement. I was wondering if we can turn to the Viksit Bharat, the developed India vision for 2047. And I just wondered if you could explain and talk to people about what the top sectoral or thematic priorities are for the government of India, and also for yourself, your own ministry as well.
Well, I think we recognize that going forward, we cannot wish away the evolving technologies and the new technologies that are obviously going to come and change the way we work, the way we live. Our effort is that with every churn, every change, how can we adopt our systems to be able to convert each of these into an opportunity? Change will be a constant. Similarly, technology is inevitable. So there is a school of thought that artificial intelligence or this huge amount of new age technologies can cause disruption in employment. What Prime Minister Modi is trying to do is that let's reskill our people to be able to take this up as both a challenge and convert that challenge into an opportunity. And I do believe there's tremendous potential for our young men and women of substance that really have a lot of drive in them, a lot of ability, since our children from a very young age actually preschool age start doing maths. And it's something many of us parents are concerned about. But for whatever reason, we've landed up in such a competitive environment that a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old is today doing maths in India. And all of this, but ultimately is providing us with a huge amount of talent. So our effort is, how can we leverage all of these technologies, rejig the employment opportunities that India provides, and balance that with opportunities in traditional sectors. For example, infrastructure. Infrastructure is a focus area. It is going to be required. We are right now committed to investing $130 billion in the current year through government spending and government-related spending in infrastructure. And this number keeps going up every year. The private sector is also investing significantly in infrastructure. But that infrastructure is the backbone on which we are going to be able to do many other things. So if we had not invested in the digital infrastructure all across the country, a lot of the global capability centers we see in India today wouldn't have been here. And millions of possible jobs would have been lost. Similarly, we are looking at low-cost, affordable telecom services so that we become an attractive destination for all of this new churn that's happening, coupled with our more affordable labor and technical costs or manpower costs. When you couple the low costs of real estate relative to what many parts of the world have, whether it's Japan or US or even UK for that matter, I think India can truly help the world's companies become competitive. It's for no small reason that 1,600 global capability centers are already there in India. So our effort is to bring the best of technologies into the country through greater partnerships with the rest of the world. Very often it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel also. We're happy to do technology partnerships. And the good part is India doesn't steal anybody's technologies, as do some other countries without taking any name. We respect IP, we respect the technology that other countries have developed or companies have developed. Incidentally, we are also focusing on our own innovation and R&D ecosystem. So we've already announced in the budget, we'll soon come out with a guide